Hey, beautiful babes. How are you? It's Sunday night. Oh, yeah, yeah. After a very hot weekend in Melbourne, we've got a hotter day happening tomorrow, 42. Yeah, what do you want? I'm trying to do something. What is it? And I wanted to talk to you about something I love. So, maybe 8 years ago now, I trained as an NLP practitioner, which is pretty much what life coaching is derived from. So when people go and do like a coaching course, a lot of the techniques that they use, he's going to totally start needing baking bread on one of my new cushions. But anyway, I need to just not think, I need to not react, because that's what I'm going to talk to you about. I so coaching, life coaching is derived from a thing called neuro-linguistic programming. And neuro-linguistic programming is when you learn how to listen to the language that people use, and the tone of voice they use, and the way their face moves when they talk, and just how their sentences are made up, and all of this kind of stuff. It's an incredible. It was one of the best things I ever learned, and it has helped me be a better communicator, and it helped me listen to myself and learn my little different communication quirks, and what I was doing that was stopping me from being able to move through particular blocks. And one of the major things that they teach you in NLP is your reaction to things, and how sometimes our reaction to things can be the catalyst for either change or continuing to play out a particular pattern. So when you are born, you have your brain, in terms of NLP terms, I was going to go into like a whole other reincarnation thing, but I'm just going to pop that aside over here for a second. Your brain is empty. You're learning how to communicate again. You don't have any beliefs. You don't have any kind of values. You're just coming out into the world, and the only thing that you're really thinking about is, I need to drink milk to stay alive, and I need to sleep. And so you're like a little bundle of baby joy. And what begins to happen over a period of time is that the adults that are around you, as you get older, you begin to take on different information from them. So they're your first educators. So in your family realm, or your close-knit human realm, you learn different things like your values and different experiences that will shape you. So, for example, you learn from your parents that, oh, this is a really interesting thing this is an example that I learned as a kid. My mum doesn't like beer. And so forever, I thought that men drank beer and women drank wine. And I just had this rule in my head, this belief in my head. And I'd learnt that around kind of 5 to 7, because mum, she'd have a glass of wine, and dad wouldn't drink wine. He'd have a beer when he got home from work. And so I just made this assumption that that's what was the truth, until I got older and I was like, beer is delicious. So that's one kind of example. Another example is when you're taught particular values, and they are derived from different experiences you have. So you may learn a value early in your childhood that love is the most important thing, or that being a bully is bad, and so you put love above wanting to be better than other people, or whatever your value is. Maybe it's freedom. One of our big steel values in our family is freedom, and I'm so certain that has come from my pa and my dad's mum, and then my dad, because he'd always talk about holidays, and holidays for me is freedom. So you have these different things, and these different things, your values, your experiences, and this other kind of brain phenomenon called your reticular activation system, your RAS, will make up these patterning thought processes that you will continue to have, and that will make up your experiences in your life. and an umbrella way of describing all of that is your perception. So your perception is what creates your reaction to things in your life. Your beliefs about something creates your reaction. So when something happens, it's not that it is about how you react to that then creates your emotions. Or your thoughts create your emotions that then create your reactions. So someone does something to you and you think a thought. And then that thought then creates an emotion and then you create a reaction to it. So an example is when someone has, and I have experienced, really terrible depression in my life. And so I'm coming from my experience with this. Things would happen to me where I would think of a thought and that would create an emotion in my body, and then that would create the reaction of depression or of unworthiness. And then what would happen, because I was in that spiral, I would just keep on ticking that shit over. And so if something would happen, for example, people would come to me and say, if I was in your situation, I would hate myself. And so in terms of disability, or I would have committed suicide, or, these terrible things would come to me. And they were terrible things for people to say. But I would react by thinking that's true. People think that about disability because I kept on having it happen to me everywhere around me. And the really interesting thing is, because we're such powerful manifestors and such powerful people, we create our life. So the more that I thought that disability was bad, or the more that I thought that my overweightness was bad, or that I was ugly, or that I was unworthy of love, the more my thoughts would create and manifest something, and then that your emotions then create emotions towards it, and then you have this reaction. Your reaction will kind of, you behave in a certain way. So in every instance, I was making my life. I was creating my life. Now, what if when things got like that, we could acknowledge our thoughts but not allow them to get down to the emotional state? So it's kind of like a spiral, and it's a circle in a sense. The thought is here, our emotions here, and our reactions at the bottom of the circle, and we just keep on going around and around in this cycle. What if we could stop ourselves in between thoughts and emotions and just check, is that thought that I'm thinking really true? Is it really true that women only drink wine and men only drink beer? Is that true for the 8,000 million, 1,000 billion people that are on Earth? Because I don't know the number of people that live here. Is that true for every single person? Or am I creating some kind of story? Is it true for every single overweight woman that they are unlovable and they will never find someone to love them? Well, that's already been determined as untrue, because there are people out there that are women that are bigger, and their body shape is just that's their body shape, and they've found love. And there are women out there with disabilities, and they've found love. So is that really the truth? So the reason I'm talking about this kind of stuff today, and this is what NLP is all about, is that we're asking ourselves, what is the truth of our lives? And am I just creating the shitty parts? Am I just relaying over and over and over again that it's just going to be hard for me? And so then I'm creating this emotion in my body, which then, because I'm such a powerful manifester, and because we're in 5D energy now, like the energy of Earth has changed, that I'm energetically putting those emotions out into the universe, and the universe is like, yeah, babes, and then it just happens. And then I'm reacting to those things in a way that then just keeps that cycle going. how do you want your life to be? Do you want to get to the bottom of all of your own stuff? I bet that the majority of you that are in here probably do. And the first part of getting to the bottom of all of our own stuff is acknowledging that we have stuff. And that's okay. I hated my disability. I hated myself. So why would the world show me anything else? I was a massive blocker for the things that I wanted in my life because of how I felt about myself. And yeah, there are people out there that have prejudice, and that's their values and their beliefs, and that's their reticular activation system, their RAS. They see things all the time around them because they've created those, like they've created the perception of it. So it's just going to be there. But we don't have to believe what they're believing either. We don't need to play into other people's bullshit stories. We can break the cycle. And that's when we come down and we talk about generational trauma and stuff as well. We don't have to play into other people's stuff. We can set ourselves free. That would be a really loving, exciting thing that we could do for ourselves. So remember that your thoughts and the things that you believe about the world and situations that happen to you will create your emotions, and then your emotions will create your reactions. But if you can stop yourself in between that thought process and that emotion creation, then your life will be much happier, because you'll be able to question yourself and go, is this really the truth, or am I just like playing out something at the moment? I love these two questions. When someone is having a conversation with you where they're kind of trying to vomit out their opinion to you, one of the questions I ask people is, for what purpose are we having this conversation? Because often the purpose is that people just want to like vomit their opinion on you. And the other question is, when I feel like I'm in a bit of a tight spot and I'm making some kind of assumption about things, or I'm believing a certain thing, I ask myself, how do I know this to be true? How do I know this to be true? And if I don't know it to be true, then could I give myself permission to be my own expander and open myself up to more beautiful possibilities that are available to me, but maybe I've been too scared to acknowledge or engage with? For what purpose are we having this conversation? And how do I know this to be true? Two of the most powerful questions you can ever ask, or conversations that you can engage in, because they will set you free. Love you, babes. See ya.